morning. In our last class, we studied the basics of Raspberry Pi board, its configurations, its hardware commands, then its applications as well as limitations. So today we shall discuss the programming aspects of how Python can be used in Raspberry Pi applications, and then we'll see how to integrate the temperature sensor with Raspberry board. So as we all know, Raspberry Pi is a single board computer. So it is capable of running a Linux operating system and also a host of applications. So many languages can be used along with Raspberry Pi, any of them program which runs on ARM processor. So Python is one such programming language, so that can be used in a Raspberry Pi. So this Python is predominantly used in web development and research as well as in other industries. So we shall take up the Python language as the example. So these are the GPIOs, so general purpose input output pins. So just like we have it on a Arduino board, so the GPIO pins are present on a Raspberry board also. So in order to set up the Python, so we need to have the install command. So first sudo apt hyphen get install python hyphen development. So sudo is the command to get into the super user mode. So then we can install the Python on the Raspberry Pi. So then once the Python is installed, so the next we have to install python hyphen rpi.gpio. So the sole purpose of the second package is to interact with the Raspberry Pi board. So the first one was a Python development environment. So second one is the Python integration with the Raspberry Pi board. So just one application here to set the status of a GPIO pin. So here we shall see an example of how we can set the GPIO pin status. So this is the example. So we need to import the packages. So here two packages are imported, that is RPI GPIO and time. Then here we are setting the pin number 12 as the output. So the function that is used to configure a port is setup. So if you can observe here, this GPIO is the package. Then within that we have the function set mode. So set mode will set the board, which means we are acting on the GPIOs. Then we will set up pin number 12 as the output. So in the first command, so it will get the board configuration so that it will get to know how many ports are there and all. Then setup will give the pin number, then followed by the mode. Here pin number 12 will act as a output. Then what we are doing here, so as we all know, the Python is strict in its structure, unlike the other languages. So the loops and all in C or C++ or Java will use the curly braces. So but in Python it will be a tab space. So here we are using the try catch block. So try here while true, so which means a infinite loop. So we are writing the output to pin number 12. So pin number 12 we are passing the value high. Then the system will sleep for 1 second. Then after that, again we are sending the low value to the same pin number 12. Again sleep 1 second. So which means we are continuously sending high and low values within a time interval of 1. So our LED that is connected to pin number 12 will be continuously blinking. So if there are any problem in any of these devices and APIs, so the exceptions will be caught and then we will call the cleanup code. So this is the connection that is made over here. So you can observe here the blue line which we have is the pin number 12 and this black is the ground. So pin number 12 is connected to one side of a resistor. So the another side of the resistor is connected to LED. So another end of LED is connected to ground. So this completes the circuit. So here the resistor is added. So in order to avoid the breakage of this LED. So now in this connection, when the program is executed, so this LED will start blinking for an interval of 1. So this is a simple example of how we can configure a particular pin and send the data to pin. So apart from the syntax, so the semantics remains same as we program with the Arduino board, which means before using any port, we need to configure them either as an output or input. Then if they are digital ports, we will be sending either a low value or high value. So all those aspects are similar. So the syntax and the language which we use is different. Suppose if you want to change the brightness of an LED, so here is the example. So we'll import the two packages, so time as well as the GPIO package. Then we'll set the board. Then again we'll use the same pin number 12 as the output. So here we'll be using the PWM. So it is the channel 12 and the frequency is 50 Hertz. Then we'll start the process. Here if you observe, we are using the for loops for a variable DC in the range 0 to 101. So we'll keep on changing the duty cycle of the frequency. So duty cycle frequency is this DC. So which means we start with 0 and we will move till 101 with an increment of 5. So each time we are changing the frequency or we are changing the duty cycle. So then we will, after each change in frequency, so we will make the system to sleep for 0.1 seconds. So as and when we increase the frequency, the brightness will keep on increasing. Then we will do the reverse process from 100 till -1. So we will keep on reducing the duty cycle by -5. So this is how we can associate a frequency also when we are writing into a particular IO pin. So this frequency will change the brightness of the LED. So if anything goes wrong, so we'll stop this particular PWM mode and also we will clean up the functionalities. So now suppose if we want to read the status of a pin. So whether we want to know whether a particular pin value is high or low, we can use this particular code. So here we are associating pin number 11 as the input. So along with that, we are using one variable. So pull underscore up underscore down is being equated to pull underscore down. So which means we are connecting a button to pin number 11. So infinitely what we are doing is we are getting the input from the pin number 11. So in order to get the input from a particular pin, the function that is used is input. So input of 11. So which means pin number 11 is read. If it is 1, then it will enter the if loop. Then print button is on. So that is displayed on the console or the terminal window. So else the button is off. Then we'll make the system to sleep for 0.1 seconds. Then after this 0.1 second, again the status of the pin number 11 will be read. So here is the connection of this particular one. So this blue line indicates the connection to pin number 11 and the red indicates the connection to VCC. So when the button is pushed, so it will display the button is on, or when the button is released, so it will display button is off. So just like this, we can connect any input device to GPIO pins and read their status, whether they are 1 or 0. So those were the few examples of how we can connect the peripheral sensors or actuator devices and read their statuses. So next we shall see how we can build a wireless temperature monitoring system using the Raspberry board. So Raspberry board is having a inbuilt Wi-Fi module, so which makes it very suitable for developing IoT applications. So most of the IoT applications demand the communication to be wireless so that they can be deployed in any regions easily, and can the system monitor the entire applications in a very smooth way. Here in wireless temperature monitoring system, so we need to read the temperature value regularly. So the red temperature value is stored in the cloud environment. So we shall see how to monitor the temperature. So once the temperature is read from the sensor, it will be stored on a cloud. So in the cloud, one can log in and look at the temperature data, and maybe in the form of a graphs. So we can create one field to monitor the temperature value, and that can be reconfigurable to monitor more number of sensors, which means we can add more number of temperature sensors and look all of them in the cloud environment. So we shall see the aspects of building such a system using the LM35 temperature sensor. So to detect the temperature and upload the values into the cloud. So in order to develop such a temperature monitoring system, so we need the hardware, obviously Raspberry Pi, an SD card for storage purpose, power supply. If you want to have a display or monitor on the Raspberry board itself, then we need a VGA to HDMI converter, Then we need MCP3008 analog to digital converter IC. Then we need the temperature sensor, that is LM35. The software that is required is any operating system. So here Raspbian Stretch operating system will be used. Then if you want to erase the data on SD card, then SD card formatter is required. Win32 disk imager is required. So along with that, for programming, we need Python libraries. The two libraries which we used in our examples are GPIO package as well as the time library. So along with that, we need URL lib2. So this particular package is also required to handle the communication with the cloud. So we have a variety of temperature sensors. So one such sensor is a DS18B20. So this is a one wire programmable temperature sensor. So that can be integrated in the Raspberry board. So this particular sensor is widely used to measure the temperature in very complex environment, such as in chemical solutions, maybe in mines, and also to measure the temperature in soil also. So this particular temperature sensor can be used in any very hard environment. So it can also be made as a waterproof. So mounting this particular sensor is also an easy process. So if you look at the working of this temperature sensor, so it can measure any temperature between minus 55 degrees centigrade to plus 125 degree. So with a decent accuracy of plus or minus 5 degrees. So that is the error rate. So each DS18B20 temperature sensor has a unique address, and it requires only one pin of the MCU to transfer the data. So since the number of pins required to integrate this particular temperature sensor, so it is a very good choice for measuring the temperature at multiple points without compromising much of the pins. So this DB DS18B20 temperature sensor has the applications. So it can measure the temperature in liquids. It can measure the temperature in very hard environments. So like mining or in any factories. So, and it can also be employed in applications where we need to measure the temperature at multiple points. So which means if you want to measure the temperature in 4 locations, so we can connect 4 temperature sensors to the Raspberry board. So it has 3 pins. So ground is required, then VCC to power up the sensor. So we can either connect 3.3 volts or 5 volts power supply. Then the data pin. So this data pin will generate the temperature value. So that can be connected to any of the microcontroller boards. So this is the diagram of a temperature sensor. So these are the pinouts and the sensor itself. So next is to connect Raspberry Pi to any other systems. So we need to have a SSH. So we can access the command line of Raspberry Pi remotely from any other computer or a device on a same network using the SSH. So when we discuss the commands of Raspberry Pi, so we had studied that this SSH is used to connect the Raspberry Pi board to other systems. So here the Raspberry Pi will act as a remote device and we can connect to it using a client on another system. So here the various steps include, so we need to set up the local network and wireless connectivity. We need to enable the SSH. Then we need to enable SSH on headless Raspberry Pi. So if you want, we can add a SD card on the machine. Then we need to set up the client. So with following these 4 steps, so we can get the remote access to the Raspberry Pi board. So now in order to access the temperature from this particular sensor, so anyway, the temperature is analog data that has to be converted into a digital. So for this particular purpose, all the circuitry that are required to make this conversion is present in DS18B20. So that's why it is a digital thermometer. So that allows us to get a 9-bit or 12-bit Celsius temperature measurements. So these 9-bit or 12-bit, so they determine the resolution. So resolution indicates how a very small temperature value can be recorded. So the conversion time depends on the resolution used. So for a 9-bit resolution, so it approximately takes 93 milliseconds, and for a 12-bit resolution, it takes 750 milliseconds. So if the resolution is more, it will take more time to convert the temperature from an analog value into a digital value. So here the device is capable of measuring the temperatures from minus 55 degree to plus 125 degree centigrade with an accuracy of plus or minus 0.5 degree centigrade. So if it is used in minus 10 to plus 85, the accuracy is more or the error rate is very less. So additionally, so this particular sensor can have a alarm functionality. So an alarm will be raised if the temperature is more than the threshold value or if it is less than the threshold value. So this upper and lower temperature threshold values can be programmed and stored internally in a non-volatile memory. So non-volatile memory means the external SD cards are hard disks. So the advantage of having the SD card is these values will be stored in the device even when it is powered off. So which means the next time when the device is turned on, we need not provide the upper and the lower temperature triggers. So this particular sensor uses the serial communication protocol, that is the one-wire protocol. So this one-wire protocol, it requires only a one pin on the microcontroller to connect it. Further, each of these DS18B20 sensor will have a unique 64-bit serial code So which means we can connect any of this DS18B20 sensors to our microcontroller. So which means we can connect many of them for a single application. So as far as power supply is concerned, it works with 3 volts to 5 volts power supply, and it can also operate with the same voltage of ESP32 without the need for converting the levels of the power supply. So once we have the sensor, it will gather the data, and the data is read by the Raspberry board. So once the temperature value is read by the Raspberry Pi, then it has to be sent to the outside cloud. So maybe to any of the system. So in order to access the Raspberry Pi from outside the network, so it has to pass through many of the hops, including the routers, switch, gateways, bridges, anything. So for that purpose, it has to get the IP address. So all these things uh, can be done in the router. So if we don't want to use all the controls on this, so that can also be skipped. So the first thing that needs to be done is to set up the Raspberry Pi and connect it to the home network. So since we are exposing the Raspberry Pi board to the internet, its default pin and passwords needs to be changed in the setup process. So then we can use the VNC to access any computer remotely on the same network. So recently VNC Connect has came out to make it easy access for a Raspberry Pi board for cloud integration. So once it's set up, so we can access the Raspberry Pi's graphical user interface from any computer or a smartphone using the VNC Viewer app. So which means all the things that are required to push the data on the cloud is taken care by the VNC Viewer app. So that was about the integration of temperature sensor and how we can connect it to the cloud using the VNC app. So Raspberry Pi interface is of 3 types. Either it is serial, uh, SPI and 12C. So serial interface on Raspberry Pi has a receiver and a transmitter pins for communication with serial devices. So another interface it has is serial peripheral interface. So that is a synchronous serial data protocol used for communicating with one or more peripheral devices. So in the SPI connection, there is one master device and all other devices will act as a peripheral device. So there are 5 pins on a Raspberry Pi for making the SPI interface. So master in, slave out, which means the master line is for sending the data to peripherals. Then master out, slave in. So here the slave will send the data to the master. Then serial clock. So the SCK pin will generate the clocks by the master to synchronize the data transmission. Then chip enable 0. So this can be used to enable and disable the devices. Then another one is chip enable 1. So that can also be used to enable or disable the device. So 0 means disable, 1 means enabling. So 12C. So 12C interface pins on the Raspberry Pi allows us to connect to hardware modules. So 12C interface allows synchronous data transfer with just two pins. So the two pins include SDA and SCL. So that is the data line and the clock line. So clock line is used for synchronization purpose. So data line is used for data transfer. So these three serial, SPI and 12C interfaces are used to communicate with the peripheral devices in the Raspberry Pi board. So few of the uh, operating systems in the Raspberry Pi include RISC OS 5, uh, Free BSD, Net BSD, Plan 9, Haiku. Then few Linux based OS operating systems include Xbean, Open SUSE, Arc OS, Kano OS, Nard SDX. Then media centered OS include OSMC, Open ELEC, then XBN, Rasplex. Then audio based operating systems are also there, Volumino, then this Pimux box, then Runaudio. So these are the few operating systems that are supported in the Raspberry Pi board. Okay, so we can stop here till today we studied the Raspberry Pi interface, how we can add a temperature sensor to it, then few programming aspects of Raspberry module. So in our next class, so we shall see how we can build a smart city using the IoT sensors and actuators.